Joe Rogan has recently stumbled upon something profoundly unsettling regarding Diddy's case, something that stretches far beyond what we initially thought we knew. What he uncovered on his podcast isn't just another celebrity scandal. It's a chilling revelation that has the potential to unravel the very fabric of the entertainment industry as we know it. It's one of those moments where everything you thought was true about the world of fame and power starts to disintegrate, revealing a far darker truth lying beneath the surface. For most people, Diddy's arrest and imprisonment may seem like the end of the story. After all, he's behind bars awaiting trial. Surely the book on this scandal has been closed. Right, wrong. What Joe Rogan revealed wasn't just about Diddy's alleged crimes, it's about an entire system. A system of power, corruption, and control that operates in the shadows, protected by layers of secrecy and influence. What Rogan stumbled upon on his podcast exposes how deep this rabbit hole goes, showing that the truth doesn't stop with Diddy, it goes much further. The connections run far beyond the walls of Hollywood, past the glitz and glam of the music industry, and extend all the way to the highest echelons of power. It's a network of individuals whose reach is so vast, their influence so pervasive that they operate with impunity, untouched by the law and unchallenged by public scrutiny. In this video, we're going to break down the entire power structure, connecting the dots between Diddy and the powerful figures that move in the background, the ones who truly run the show. We'll expose the names that have remained untouchable for years, figures who seem immune to any form of scrutiny, no matter the allegations, no matter the evidence. The kind of people who can push the boundaries of the law and get away with it, whose wealth, connections, and influence shield them from any real consequence. We'll also explore why Joe Rogan's decision to speak out and expose this web of corruption may have been a grave mistake. He may have crossed a line that not only puts his own safety at risk, but also threatens to disrupt a much larger system that has been operating for decades in the shadows. Trust me when I say this. Once you understand the scope of what's been uncovered, the full magnitude of this situation, you'll begin to see that the truth is far more sinister than we ever imagined. It's not just about Diddy. It's about a system designed to protect the most powerful, the wealthiest, and the most influential people in the world. People who believe they are above the law, above reproach, and ultimately beyond reach. As the investigation into Diddy's actions continues to unfold, many people are under the assumption that the story ends with him. After all, Diddy's been arrested. He's facing serious charges. We think we know the details right. The high-profile nature of the case, the media coverage, it all suggests that we've seen the beginning and the end of this story. But what Rogan uncovered during his recent podcast conversation peeled back a curtain most of us didn't even know existed. What he found wasn't just about Diddy. It was about a massive network of corruption and deceit that had remained hidden in plain sight for years. Rogan's conversation unveiled a world of connections, of people whose names have been whispered about for years but who have somehow avoided being exposed. These aren't just the A-list celebrities we see in tabloids. These are the power brokers, the behind-the-scenes players who control everything from the music industry to the political landscape and beyond. What Rogan uncovered doesn't just change how we view Diddy. It forces us to reconsider the very foundation of how these industries operate. Diddy's influence wasn't confined to just one realm. It stretched deep into the heart of Hollywood, into the music industry, into politics, and even the highest circles of global power. And the more we dig, the clearer it becomes. Diddy is just a cog in a much larger machine. But before we dive deeper into the larger implications of this web, we need to take a step back and truly understand the gravity of what Diddy is being accused of. Because without this context, everything else falls apart. Right now, Diddy is in a jail cell waiting for his day in court. The charges he faces are among the most severe anyone in the entertainment industry could imagine. Federal prosecutors have brought forward a case that paints a horrific picture, one of manipulation, coercion, and abuse of power. They allege that Diddy used his immense power to create an environment where victims had no choice but to submit to his will, forced into horrific and terrifying situations that should have never been allowed to happen. These aren't just run-of-the-mill accusations. These are serious, life-altering charges that paint a picture of a man who used his influence not just to get ahead, but to dominate, control, and exploit those beneath him. The charges alone are enough to make your blood run cold, but when you dig deeper into the dark, twisted activities Diddy is allegedly involved in, it becomes even more unsettling. What's been revealed goes far beyond the accusations of one man abusing his power. It points to a deeply entrenched system of exploitation, one that spans not just one celebrity but many, with people who have been complicit in these crimes either turning a blind eye or actively participating. The scope of the crimes is staggering, and it paints a far darker picture of the entertainment world than we ever could have imagined. But the most terrifying part, this system is not just about Diddy. It's not even about a few bad actors. It's about a complex, far-reaching network that has operated under the radar for decades, shielded from the public eye by those at the top. This web of power, corruption, and control has managed to stay hidden in plain sight for so long because the people involved are simply too powerful to challenge. And as the investigation continues, we'll see more and more pieces of this puzzle coming together. But one thing is clear, the truth about Diddy's empire is just the beginning. What's uncovered next will change everything we thought we knew about power in Hollywood, the music industry, and beyond. One of the most disturbing and dark allegations that has surfaced from the shadows of Diddy's empire is the existence of the infamous freak-off parties, secret, exclusive gatherings where Diddy allegedly orchestrated a horrific scheme of manipulation and exploitation. These gatherings were more than just parties, they were traps, carefully designed to lure celebrities into an environment where their every move was under scrutiny and control. What makes these parties so chilling is the claim that many of the attendees were unknowingly drugged and filmed without their consent or knowledge. Imagine stepping into what you think is a normal social gathering, surrounded by colleagues, friends, and industry peers, only to find out later that everything you did, every private moment you had, was secretly recorded. And this wasn't just some isolated incident, it was systematic, orchestrated by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. The thought of having your personal moments, your vulnerabilities, captured without your awareness is enough to make your skin crawl. It's beyond nightmare territory, and what makes this even worse, over 120 people have come forward with accusations against Diddy, claiming to have been victims of this vile scheme. Out of these accusers, an astonishing 25 of them were minors, children who allegedly were swept up into this web of exploitation. These weren't just adults who had their lives manipulated. These were young, impressionable individuals who found themselves in a situation far beyond their control. To think that young children were allegedly exposed to such horrors is enough to break anyone's heart and send a chill of horror through the industry, but it doesn't stop there. 50 Cent, in his recent Netflix documentary The Reckoning, dove deep into these allegations, further exposing the darkness surrounding Diddy's operations. He didn't shy away from the uncomfortable truths, even when it meant putting himself in the crosshairs. He courageously placed it all on the line, risking his own reputation and career to shine a light on what so many have tried to keep buried. For that, he deserves tremendous credit. He didn't just focus on the surface details, he ventured into the heart of the storm, uncovering the twisted network that Diddy was allegedly a part of. But here's the part that still hasn't fully sunk in for many: Diddy wasn't operating in a vacuum. He wasn't the mastermind behind the entire operation. No, there's a far larger force at play, a network so vast that Diddy was merely a cog in the machine. If Diddy wasn't at the top of this pyramid, then the question that needs to be asked is, who was? Who pulled the strings, orchestrating these horrific parties, controlling the people involved, and keeping this web of corruption running smoothly for so many years? The more you dig, the more you realize that Diddy might not have been the biggest player in this dangerous game after all. Joe Rogan, during one of his podcast episodes, connected the dots that most people have been too afraid to even approach. He drew a direct comparison between Diddy's operations and the infamous trafficking network run by Jeffrey Epstein. The eerie similarities between the two are impossible to ignore, and once Rogan made that connection, everything started to fall into place. The patterns, the methods, the secrecy, and the power dynamics, they all started aligning in a way that made the connection undeniable. The truth, once it's uncovered, becomes impossible to ignore. And once you start to see the parallels between Diddy's activities and Epstein's trafficking ring, it's clear that here are larger, more powerful forces at play here, forces that are willing to go to great lengths to ensure their secrets remain buried. Rogan's podcast conversation took a sharp turn into uncomfortable territory when one of his guests asked the haunting question: is Diddy going to sing? Is he going to spill the beans and expose everyone else who's involved? That's when something clicked in Rogan's mind, and he said something that should send a shiver down all our spines. He pointed out a terrifying pattern that we've seen with Epstein's case, the same pattern that's now unfolding with Diddy. Someone gets indicted for trafficking, but no one else seems to face charges. Epstein trafficked children to who? Officially no one knows. The same goes for Ghislaine Maxwell. She was convicted for trafficking, but to whom? No one else has been brought to justice, and the names involved remain hidden. This is the part that's deeply unsettling. The realization that, like Epstein, Diddy might be a pawn, not the kingpin. His role in this may be just one piece of a much larger and more terrifying puzzle. It raises the uncomfortable but necessary question: how many other powerful figures, how many other celebrities, politicians, or businessmen were involved in these activities? How many of them are still free, still protected, while the system that allowed these horrors to flourish remains unchallenged? What if Diddy's case is just the tip of the iceberg, a small glimpse into a world of corruption so vast and so entrenched that the truth will never fully come to light? The more we ask these questions, the more the pieces of the puzzle seem to fall into place. What if Diddy is just another sacrificial lamb being thrown under the bus to protect the true culprits behind the scenes? What if the ones who are truly responsible, those at the very top of the pyramid, will never face justice because they control the system? The chilling reality is that, just like with Epstein, the system is rigged in favor of the powerful. They know how to cover their tracks, how to protect their own, and how to make sure that the truth remains just out of reach for those who seek it. We may never know the full extent of what's been hidden, but one thing is certain. The connection between Diddy and the larger web of power and corruption is far deeper and more dangerous than we could have ever imagined. And as long as the powerful remain untouchable, the truth will continue to slip further into the shadows, leaving us to wonder how many more secrets are out there waiting to be uncovered. Does any of this make sense to you? Because to be honest, it sure doesn't make sense to me. If you're following the pattern here, you might be asking yourself the same questions. Why does this keep happening? Why do the same powerful figures always seem to escape consequences, no matter how far their corruption reaches? Why does it feel like we're watching the same scandal play out over and over again, and yet the people at the top continue to walk free? It's almost as if we're caught in an endless loop where the powerful are never held accountable, and those below them are left to bear the brunt of the fallout. It's a pattern we've seen time and time again, and yet for some reason the media, the public, and even law enforcement seem to look the other way. Rogan highlighted this exact point on his podcast, diving deep into a subject that most are too afraid to acknowledge, the unspoken truth that the elites, no matter their crimes, always seem to slip through the cracks. How is it that after all these scandals, after all the accusations, nothing ever seems to change? Why do the most powerful people in the world always come out unscathed, their names never truly tarnished? The question isn't just why it happens, it's how it keeps happening. This isn't just a coincidence or an isolated incident. It's a symptom of a much larger issue, one that's embedded in the very structure of the entertainment industry and beyond. The pattern is there in plain sight, yet so many continue to ignore it. It's like watching a train wreck unfold in slow motion, and no one seems to be able to stop it. Rogan then took things a step further, casting light on names that have lingered on the fringes of this scandal for years, names that many have been too afraid to publicly mention. LeBron James, Ashton Kutcher, and a slew of other high-profile celebrities have all openly talked about attending Diddy's infamous parties. These aren't just random names thrown around in gossip. These are some of the most influential people in the world, all with ties to Diddy's empire. The Ain't No Party Like a Diddy Party videos were once celebrated for their fun, carefree vibes, a testament to the power Diddy had over the industry. At the time, these clips were seen as lighthearted and humorous, just another part of the Hollywood facade. But with everything we now know, they take on an entirely different fard. Meaning, those carefree party videos now feel like a coded warning, a way for the public to remain blind to the grim reality happening behind the scenes. And that's where Rogan's conversation took a hard, unsettling turn. When he asked, "You guys went to these parties and you didn't see anything, not a single thing," it wasn't just a simple question, it was a challenge to the entire system. Rogan wasn't just questioning the celebrities who attended those parties. He was questioning the very fabric of the system that allowed these people to get away with so much for so long. The silence from these celebrities speaks volumes. They had to have known what was going on, they had to have seen the signs. Whether it was the whispered rumors, the late-night talks, or the fact that these parties were closed off from the rest of the world, there's no way they were oblivious. So why didn't they speak out? Why didn't they blow the whistle when they had the chance? Were they simply afraid of the consequences? Were they protecting their own image, too afraid of what it would mean for their careers? Or were they protecting someone far more powerful than themselves? That's the real question we need to ask. Who were they protecting? Because the silence from these figures isn't just a minor detail, it's a crucial part of the puzzle. And once you start pulling on that thread, you realize that the silence isn't just about protecting their careers or their reputations. It's about protecting a far larger system, one that extends far beyond Diddy and his parties. Now let's turn our attention to the true puppet master behind all of this, Sir Lucian Grange. If Diddy was the king of his own domain, then Grange is the emperor, pulling the strings from the shadows, orchestrating the entire operation. Grange, for those who aren't familiar, is the CEO of Universal Music Group, one of the most powerful and influential music companies in the world. Universal isn't just any record label, it's the parent organization behind virtually every major label that Diddy has ever worked with. This man holds power and influence that most people in the industry can't even begin to comprehend. He's a silent architect of the system, pulling the strings of the entertainment industry, shaping careers, and controlling the flow of money and power. But what really makes Grange the linchpin of this entire operation is his role in shaping not just the music industry, but the culture surrounding it. Grange's position has allowed him to operate with near-absolute power, untouched by public scrutiny. He is in many ways the gatekeeper of the industry, holding sway over everything that gets released, who gets signed, and who gets pushed into the spotlight. It's not just about the music. It's about creating the narratives, the myths, and the images that the public buys into. And when you have that kind of influence, you can protect anyone, and I mean anyone, within your circle. In the Little Rod lawsuit, Grange's name was brought up, and this is where things start to get really interesting. The theory behind this lawsuit is that major labels like Universal aren't just record companies. They are more like protection rackets operating behind the veil of legitimate business. These companies aren't just distributing music, they're running a covert operation, providing the infrastructure and resources needed for moguls like Diddy to operate freely, without fear of accountability. It's not just about making music, it's about making money, big money. And when you have that much at stake, protecting the people who generate billions of dollars becomes the priority, even if it means turning a blind eye to serious criminal activity. When the stakes are that high, when the money flows in like a river, there's no room for morality. The system is built on protection, not justice. And the documents that have come out regarding this case, they're absolutely explosive. If they're true, they will change the entire narrative we've been sold about the entertainment industry. These aren't just salacious rumors, they're evidence of an entire network operating in plain sight, protected by the very people who hold the power. Once these documents are fully uncovered, we will see just how deep the corruption goes. But one thing is clear, those at the top will stop at nothing to ensure that these secrets remain buried. I never thought I'd be saying this, but Candace Owens might be onto something here. She raised a disturbing but important point. Why hasn't the mainstream media picked up on Diddy's case with the urgency it deserves? Why has this explosive story been buried so deeply by the press? Why is a case this crucial to the public's understanding of the entertainment industry being ignored? Owens suggests that it all comes down to one man, Lucian Grange. And once you start looking into him, you begin to understand why this story has been swept under the rug. Grange's influence stretches far beyond Hollywood and the music industry. It's global. His ability to control the narrative is nearly absolute. He decides which stories see the light of day and which ones are buried in the shadows, never to be heard from again. The deeper you go into this case, the more chilling the truth becomes. The lawsuit against Grange reveals something so sinister that it sends shockwaves through everything we thought we knew about the entertainment industry. It wasn't just that Grange was aware of the activities taking place at Diddy's parties, he was actively involved. He didn't just sit back and let the chaos unfold around him. He attended these gatherings at Diddy's sprawling mansion in Los Angeles. These weren't just any typical celebrity parties either. These were gatherings that were allegedly filled with underage girls, minors. Let that sink in for a moment. This wasn't a case of a few individuals acting out of line. This wasn't just one or two bad apples in an otherwise clean industry. No, this was a well-organized system, a network designed to protect the most powerful figures, no matter the cost. This was about maintaining power, and when people this powerful are involved, they will stop at nothing to protect their interests, even if it means turning a blind eye to exploitation, manipulation, and abuse. Grange, as the head of Universal Music Group, was fully aware of what was happening at these parties. The drugging, the manipulation, the exploitation, and what's even more chilling is the evidence that's come to light. Bottles of Diddy's own alcohol brands, Delian tequila and Ciroc vodka, allegedly laced with drugs. These weren't just innocently passed drinks, they were tools used to control and manipulate those at these parties. Grange knew, and yet he didn't step in to stop it. Why? Because his power and influence protect the people who generate the most revenue for him. The amount of money at stake was enough to ensure that anyone who stood in the way was ignored, silenced, or protected at all costs. Candace Owens made a chilling observation. The reason why the media is staying silent on this case is because Grange's influence is that vast and far-reaching. He's been in the room with Diddy for years, likely controlling and shaping the public's perception of what goes on behind the scenes. That's why this story has been buried, swept under the rug like so many others. Grange, the man pulling the strings from the shadows, controls what gets out to the public and what stays hidden in the dark. His grasp over the narrative is so strong that even the most damning allegations are rendered irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. The sad reality is that in Hollywood and the broader music industry, there's a small group of people who hold all the power. People like Jay-Z, Oprah, and others who are seen as the ultimate gatekeepers of fame and wealth. These names are widely recognized as some of the most influential figures in the world. But the real question that should be asked is who is truly at the top of the pyramid? Who's pulling the strings behind these figures? Who's operating in the shadows unnoticed yet controlling everything? Diddy, Jay-Z, and others might be the public faces at the top of the pyramid, but there are other figures lurking behind them, pulling the strings, and they're people you've probably never even heard of. These are the names that will never get questioned, no matter how big the scandal, no matter how many lives are ruined in the process, because these are the people who control everything. They hold the power that no one dares to challenge. And then there's the most chilling part of all, the tapes. Thousands of hours of footage from these private parties, allegedly recording every minute of what transpired. These tapes aren't just evidence, they're insurance. They hold the power to bring down entire careers, to ruin the lives of the most powerful people in the world. These tapes are not just a way to prove what happened, they are a tool used to control, to blackmail, and to keep the most dangerous secrets from being exposed. And there's a very real possibility that some of the biggest names in the world are desperately trying to keep these tapes hidden at all costs. Megyn Kelly made an important point when she asked the question that no one else seemed to have the courage to ask. Why has Diddy been charged for the brutal assault on Cassie that was caught on video? If the public has seen the footage, why isn't he facing charges for it? Why isn't this being treated like the horrific crime it truly is? What does that tell you about the larger picture? What does it say about the system that allows powerful men like Diddy to avoid the consequences of their actions, while the rest of the world is left to pick up the pieces? There are secrets being protected here, and they run deep. These aren't just stories about celebrities behaving badly. This is about a system so entrenched in corruption, a web of power so tightly woven that it's almost impossible to break through. The media is complicit in keeping these secrets hidden. The people who are truly responsible, the ones at the top, the ones who control everything, are untouchable. And as long as they continue to operate in the shadows, the truth will stay buried and the cycle of exploitation will continue.